Now, Nintendo has already graced the fans with a new 3D Mario game on the Nintendo Switch, being Super Mario Odyssey releasing in 2017. But does this rule out the possibility of a new 3D Mario game being released in the console in the future? Well, history suggests that that would actually be the case, considering that there's only one console in Nintendo's history that's had more than one new 3D Mario game on it, being the Wii with Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. However, because of recent events and the time frame in which Odyssey released, I do think there is a good chance that we get a new 3D Mario game on the console. Odyssey released in the launch year of the Nintendo Switch, and because of the great sales for the Switch, I definitely expect the console's lifespan to continue for a long time. We've already been getting announcements of new versions of the Nintendo Switch coming out, which generally means that the lifespan of the console is going to be increased. Just look at the DS and the 3DS with new versions releasing, extending the lifespan of the consoles. And because of that, are we going to be going all of this time throughout the Nintendo Switch's life without another 3D Mario game releasing? I've talked in the past about how Nintendo really needs a big holiday release for 2020, and a new 3D Mario would definitely fit that bill. Breath of the Wild released in the launch year of the Nintendo Switch and has already had a sequel announced for it. Will the Switch's 3D Mario get a similar treatment? But if that is the case, will it simply be an Odyssey 2? Or will we be getting something different? There's been recent social media posts from Nintendo which fans have just been going crazy over. I'm going to be discussing what this could possibly mean and the future of 3D Mario games on the Nintendo Switch within this video. Since I've already touched on the elephants in the room, I might as well go over what Nintendo tweeted out. They said, "No matter where your summer Odyssey took you, we hope it was filled with sunshine." This is obviously a clear reference to one of Nintendo's most famous 3D Mario games from the past, a game that's much beloved in the hearts of Nintendo fans. Super Mario Sunshine. Now, is this just a simple reference to Sunshine, and a reference to Super Mario Odyssey at that, wishing people a good summer? Or is there some more underlying hint within this post? Now, recently people may have been reading a little bit too much into this. It could be an innocent post like I just mentioned. But what if this hints to an Odyssey 2? Or a sequel to Super Mario Sunshine? Throughout this video, I'm going to be going over many different possibilities for what a new 3D Mario game could be like on the Nintendo Switch. Which type of game is it going to be? And an Odyssey 2 and a Sunshine 2 are two big possibilities for what this could be. Let's start off with an Odyssey 2, and some of the evidence within this social media post that could potentially hint at an Odyssey 2 actually happening. There are two seeds here on Mario's cheek. Could simply be just an innocent little thing, unintentional to hint at anything, but what if this hints at an Odyssey sequel, an Odyssey 2? And in this potential Odyssey 2, will we be going to Isle Delfino as another kingdom? It was teased as a location to go to in the original Super Mario Odyssey, but it was inaccessible. Many of you can recall some of my Odyssey coverage in the past, where we went over this map which had Isle Delfino clearly on it, and there's even a texture on the globe on the Odyssey for Isle Delfino. This could just be a hint, but it was likely intended to be in Super Mario Odyssey, but may have been scrapped. It's textured on the globe, but what if Nintendo scrapped this at the last minute, and they're saving it for a sequel to Super Mario Odyssey? Could this be a throwback location to go to in a sequel? And maybe we'll get more throwback locations in it, like Bob-omb Battlefield, which was also teased in Super Mario Odyssey, with a Toad reading a pamphlet with Bob-omb Battlefield on it. Aside from this social media post though, an Odyssey 2 would straight up make sense as a sequel to the game. With the Wii, we got Super Mario Galaxy as the 3D Mario title for it, and the natural sequel for Galaxy was a Galaxy 2. So for Odyssey, with Odyssey being a really well-selling game on the Nintendo Switch, it would totally make sense to release a new version of it. Put in a lot of fan service like going back to Isle Delfino that people will love, and of course add in more interesting missions for moons that people really enjoyed from the first game, as to lead them to go and buy the second game. If Odyssey 1 sold this well, certainly an Odyssey 2 would do well financially too. There have been some very prominent enemies that were absent from Super Mario Odyssey that could potentially be included in an Odyssey sequel, Enemies like the Bob-omb and the Boos were absent from Odyssey, and are potentially being saved for a new version of the game. This will allow a greater variety of captures for Cappy to use. But here are some problems that are arisen with the possibility of an Odyssey sequel. Many people who are only looking to buy one 3D Mario game on the Switch will see Odyssey and just buy the original instead of probably going to go and buy the Odyssey 2. Many people will feel that they've played a similar experience to this already and will be more hesitant to go and buy a sequel to the game. This will hinder the sales of an Odyssey 2 and make it impossible for it to outsell the original Super Mario Odyssey unless it greatly changes things. Which means that if Nintendo is looking for a higher ceiling for sales for a new 3D Mario game on the Switch, it may be better for them to go to another format for the game. Enter the next possibility that I'm going to be talking about today. What if we get a Super Mario Sunshine 2? Heading back to our favorite social media posts that may mean nothing, but could also mean something. We've already established that this is a clear reference to Super Mario Sunshine, and the Sunshine sequel is definitely an interesting idea. I haven't talked about this possibility as much as other possibilities in the channel in the past, because I haven't always thought that a Sunshine sequel was that plausible. I thought that Sunshine in essence was sort of a sequel to Super Mario 64, and would be the more modern 3D Mario games that would end up having a sequel for them. But a Sunshine sequel could be very interesting. It would differentiate it from the Odyssey format because the gameplay of the games are clearly different, with FLUDD being used prominently instead of Cappy. But there are some similarities between them that could carry fans over. In this post, Mario is eating a watermelon, and during Nintendo's Mario presentations at Gamescom, watermelon and other fruit like pineapples were present on the sets alongside Mario. Watermelon are present in the Watermelon Festival in Mario Sunshine, and pineapples are in the game a lot too. Are these fruit hints at a Sunshine sequel? Are we just stretching this possibility way too much and a Sunshine sequel is not going to happen? Bottom line here, this social media post could be hinting at nothing, but an Odyssey sequel or a Sunshine sequel could potentially be hinted at within this post. Now this is the last that I'm going to be touching on this social media post today. We've gone over the possibility of an Odyssey 2 and a Sunshine 2. But what about a Galaxy 3? This is a possibility that I've touched on a lot in the past as something that's pretty likely. Galaxy 2 was likely just made because the sales of the original Galaxy were so high, and they had to capitalize on it somewhere. DLC wasn't that easy of an option to do back in the Wii era, so it was easier just to release a brand new game, and it clearly made Nintendo a lot of money sales-wise. And for a Galaxy 3, it was potentially difficult to incorporate the Wii U gamepad in the control scheme of the game, even though Wii remotes were able to be used on the Wii U. But now with the Nintendo Switch, the controls would definitely fit the possibility of a Galaxy 3 very well, with the Joy-Cons being similar to the Wii remotes, but also different enough to justify going over to the Switch to change things up a little bit. So you'll be able to use the motion controls to move the Joy-Con around, just like you move the Wii remote around when playing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. A Galaxy 3 is requested very frequently from Mario fans just because of how much they love the original two Galaxy games and the unique setting that they took place in. Sending Mario into outer space was very ambitious. It's effectively taking Mario away from the established worlds that he's been in the past and sending him beyond. And the possibilities for uniqueness for the planets are endless because you don't have to be tied down to the boundaries that exist when creating a game based on the Earth or wherever the Mushroom Kingdom is. A Galaxy 3 would also be pretty different from the Odyssey style like a Super Mario Sunshine 2, which means that the ceiling for sales is probably a little bit higher for a Galaxy 3, as someone who's already bought Odyssey will probably be a lot more likely to buy a Galaxy 3 because it's more different from a potential Odyssey sequel. One possibility for a new 3D Mario game that I'm sure a lot of people want is a new version of Super Mario 64. Another sandbox style Mario game where you run around collecting stars doing missions for them, but I just don't see this being a likely scenario. If Mario 64 is going to be touched again in the future, I think it might just be in references like the Whomp's Fortress stage in Super Mario Galaxy 2, or as a full-on HD remake, but I don't know if that's going to be the case because Mario 64 has already technically been remade with the DS version. I get that was very different from the original because you added in multiple characters, but if Nintendo wants to remake the original, or even remake the DS version on the Switch, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people excited about that possibility. A criticism of the DS version was the controls, but what about this? What if Nintendo remade Super Mario 64, include the new characters introduced for the DS version, but also make the controls similar to the original game? I think that would be a very happy medium that a lot of fans would appreciate. Bottom line, I don't think we'd get a Super Mario 64 direct sequel on the Switch. I just don't think it's going to happen. The last main possibility that I'm going to be talking about within this video that may happen, but also may not, as a new game in the style of Super Mario 3D World and 3D Land on the Switch. Call it Super Mario 3D Universe or something like that. This will be another level-based 3D Mario game, which would have a heavy emphasis on multiplayer as 3D World did. I've really enjoyed the level-based 3D Mario games. I think they're solid and provide something different than the sandbox-style 3D Mario games like Odyssey and Sunshine do. But there's a lot of people who don't like the level-based 3D Mario games and would prefer having their 3D Mario in the other style. But if we do get another 3D Mario game based on the level system on the Nintendo Switch, it would provide something very different from Super Mario Odyssey, so it'll make both of those fan bases happy. I think more likely than getting a brand new 3D Mario in this style though is us simply getting a 3D World port on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo's ported over almost the entirety of the Wii U library for the Switch, so I don't see why they're just not going to port 3D World over unless they plan on making a new one. They've already included the 3D World game style in Super Mario Maker 2, which could potentially be hinting at 3D World coming over to the Switch. But with all this being said, all the possibilities being gone over, I do still think it's between an Odyssey 2 and a Galaxy 3 for what the next 3D Mario game is going to be. If I had to bet on one, I'd bet on the Odyssey 2 because I just think it's a safer bet, but a Galaxy 3 could definitely happen. But a new large contender being a Sunshine 2 has been thrown into the mix with this new social media post from Nintendo. And I'd really like to know what you think about it. Does this post mean anything at all, or is it just Nintendo wishing everybody summer wishes? If you're interested on what the potential future of 2D Mario games is going to be, I have made a video about that as well, which I have on the screen for you to check out right now if you're interested in that. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel and want to see more content about Mario and other Nintendo games very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.